Howdy, y'all. It's Reese, aka Bearman Prime, on this August 8th. Welcome back to my Read the Bible in a Year series. Thank you again for joining me. God bless you all. Card in the top right hand corner for the rest of the playlist. And please hit that like button, subscribe button, and notification bell. Sure do appreciate it. All right, so Jesus is still trying to move the Jewish people in such a way that they will believe him. He's trying to get them to see the signs, to understand what he's teaching them. But unfortunately, they are spiritually blind. They cannot see, by God's will, what is going on. Okay. We've rehashed, the same kind of stuff before in earlier videos. So we're just kind of going through it again. Let's continue on from where we left off. Let's go to Luke chapter 13 today and pick it up in verse 1. Some people there with Jesus at that time told him about what had happened to some worshippers from Galilee. Pilate had them killed. Their blood was mixed with the blood of the animals they had brought for sacrificing. Jesus answered, "Do you think this happened to those people because they were more sinful than all other people from Galilee? No, they were not. But if you don't decide now to change your lives, you will all be destroyed like those people. And what about those 18 people who died when the Tower of Siloam fell on them? Do you think they were more sinful than everyone else in Jerusalem? They were not. But I tell you, if you don't decide now to change your lives, you will all be destroyed too." Verse 6. Jesus told this story. A man had a fig tree. He planted it in his garden. He came looking for some fruit on it, but he found none. He had a servant who took care of his garden. So he said to his servant, "I have been looking for fruit on this tree for 3 years, but I never find any. Cut it down. Why should it waste the ground?" But the servant answered, "Master, let the tree have 1 more year to produce fruit. Let me dig up the dirt around it and fertilize it. Maybe the tree will have fruit on it next year. If it still does not produce, then you can cut it down." Verse 10. Jesus taught at one of the synagogues on the Sabbath day. A woman was there who had an evil spirit inside her. It had made the woman crippled for 18 years. Her back was always bent. She could not stand up straight. When Jesus saw her, he called to her, "Woman, you have been made free from your sickness." He laid his hands on her, and immediately she was able to stand up straight. She began praising God. The synagogue leader was angry because Jesus healed on the Sabbath day. He said to the people, "There are 6 days for work, so come to be healed on one of those days. Don't come for healing on the Sabbath day." The Lord answered, "You people are hypocrites. All of you untie your work animals and lead them to drink water every day, even on the Sabbath day. This woman that I heal is a true descendant of Abraham, but Satan has held her for 18 years. Surely it is not wrong for her to be made free from her sickness on a Sabbath day." When Jesus said this, all those who were criticizing him felt ashamed of themselves, and all the people were happy for the wonderful things he was doing. Verse 18. Then Jesus said, "What is God's kingdom like? What can I compare it to? God's kingdom is like the seed of the mustard plant. Someone plants this seed in their garden. The seed grows and becomes a tree, and the birds build nests on its branches." Jesus said again, "What can I compare God's kingdom with? It is like yeast that a woman mixes into a big bowl of flour to make bread. The yeast makes all the dough rise." All right, so again, we're rehashing things we've gone over before, but like I said yesterday, probably means it's important if we're going through it again. All right, so first part, Jesus is pleading with them to change their hearts, to change their lives and ways of thinking, because you never know when it's going to end. Okay, same is true today with, fortunately, school shootings and accidents and, just shootings in the workplace and things like that. You never know when your time is going to come. Okay, you just never know. So why wait? Why take that risk? Take the opportunity now. change your hearts, change your minds, change your lives. Turn to God. That way, if your time does come, then you're saved, right? Don't wait. That's what he's trying to get at here. Then he tells the story of the useless tree, how a man planted a tree, okay, and it, grew, and for 3 years it produced no fruit. And so the man wanted to cut it down, but the servant said, "Hold on, let me, do some work here and give it another year. If it doesn't work, then you can cut it off." So here's the picture. So the man who planted the tree is God. Tree is Israel. Servant is Jesus, right? God plants the seed, Israel, his chosen people, his nation, in the ground, and causes it to rise, right? It grows, but it produces no fruit. God's intention for the nation of Israel was that the whole world would come to know God through them. They would be the nation of priests. They would, God would be their God, and they would be his people. But it didn't turn out that way, right? They produced no fruit. And so God wanted to just cut them down, wipe them out. But the servant, Jesus says, hold on, let me see what I can do. And if it doesn't work, then you can pour your wrath out. That's what he did. He paid the price for our debt, stopped the wrath from coming for now, okay, and redeemed us that way. Now, time is still coming when the wrath will come. We don't know when, but it is coming. But at least Jesus held it off for now and paid the price for us that would allow us to produce the fruit that God wanted. Okay? And then we see the story again of Jesus healing the hunched over woman on the Sabbath day. The synagogue leader being furious that, there are 6 days for work. Don't come for healing on the Sabbath day, blah, blah, blah. And Jesus is like, you are such a hypocrite. You people untie your animals, you pick up sticks or whatever on a Sabbath day. This woman has been crippled for 18 years. Why shouldn't she be healed? Why shouldn't she be saved? And remember, Jesus is Lord of the Sabbath. So whatever he says can happen on the Sabbath is good. If he says it's okay to heal someone on the Sabbath, by all means, they should be healed. And then we see the last part where he compares the kingdom of God to two metaphors that we've seen before. One is the mustard seed. So remember, the mustard seed was that itty bitty bitty tiny seed. And when it's planted and grows into a mustard tree, it grows into a tree much, 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 much larger for a seed of its size, right? So it's, very, very tiny to, pretty big bush, right? Big enough for birds to put their nests in, right? So that's where the kingdom of God is like planted into our hearts. It may start very, very small, but over time, it'll grow and grow and grow into something much larger and produce much fruit. And then a similar metaphor there is the yeast. The yeast goes into the bread and into the dough. It's mixed in and it makes the dough rise. So the same thing, God's kingdom, spirit is like the yeast that goes into us. It goes into our hearts and allows the spirit to grow within us, right? So that's all he's saying there. Anyway, that's all for today. We're going to pick it up there tomorrow. Thank you again for joining me. I sure do appreciate it. I'll see y'all tomorrow.